Good evening and welcome to the UFP webinar. Our last couple of webinars have been focusing on the admissions process of the UFP, and the next few webinars will be focusing mainly on the UFP curriculum. Today's webinar is focused on the projects and practica element of the UFP, and we are joined by our faculty Namrata Kapoor and Aditi Suri. Namrata is part of the team that anchors the practica element of the UFP, and Aditi anchors the projects element. They're here to talk to you about these two components of the curriculum in detail. Namrata and Aditi will take about 10 minutes each, and post that we will open it up to the audience. If you have questions, please add them to the Q&A box that you see below, and we will pick them up from there. So over to you, Namrata and Aditi.
Hello. Hi everyone. So I think I'll start first and Aditi can start afterwards. I will tell you all about the practica, which is an integral part of the first semester, the commons term, when you come to the UFP studio and UFP Fellows Program. So for those of you who don't know, the Practica is an interdisciplinary field-based studio, and it anchors a lot of the different kinds of theory classes and skill labs that actually happen in the UFP Fellows Program. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. When I say interdisciplinary field-based studio, let's go through each of these words separately and then we'll put it together and we'll understand how this fits in. When you come to the UFP Fellows Program, for the Practica Studio, what we usually do is we sort of like divide the entire class into different kinds of groups, okay? And we make sure that these are interdisciplinary groups, okay? So what we do is basically each one of us comes from different kinds of backgrounds, right? Like in the sense that we all have different ways of looking at the urban. The architect draws and represents the urban spatially. The economist or the financier looks at economic activity and uses, let's say, quantitative methods. The sociologist uses qualitative methods to look at the urban. And that is what we are being taught, in our different kinds of disciplinary trainings, that we have certain kinds of methods that we have to look at the urban from, if we look at the urban at all. When you come to the UFP Fellows Program, these kinds of ideas are actually suspended. And we put you into teams where the architect and the economist and the sociologist all become a part of, let's say, one group. Okay, we divide the entire class into different kinds of groups. And we encourage you to actually beg, borrow, steal methods from different kinds of disciplines, whatever it is that allows you to study the urban. We this kind of learning takes you away from the comfort zones. Like the architects are not just talking to the architects, you're talking to different kinds of people. You learn from the economists, you learn from the sociologists within your team, and you will apply different kinds of methods that belong to different kinds of discipline to study the field. Now this brings us to the second part of what I was saying, which is basically that it's a field-based studio. What is a field-based studio? In a field-based studio, you don't start with a lecture. You don't start with a certain kind of text or a seminar. What you do is that you start with the field. So your faculty members, as a part of the practica, will take you to different kinds of sites within the city. Okay. So for example, you might have a practica which takes you to three different kinds of lakes within Bangalore, and will ask you to study these lake sites. Okay. They will encourage you to find out, when you're taken to these sites, you will be given some amount of preliminary information about these places. And they will encourage you, your faculty will encourage you to find out more about these sites by talking to people over there, by collecting data about these things, by looking at spatial maps about these things. And through this immersive experience, you will spend, like the first few weeks just trying to understand what is it about these sites that piques your curiosity. And you will use the time to represent these sites in different kinds of ways. And eventually you will come down to trying to ask certain kinds of research questions about these sites. Through this entire process, your faculty will help you with, by giving you certain kinds of exercises that help you come to certain research questions. So for example, we might divide your groups into different kinds of themes. So like one group can go ahead and think about ecology, the other group can think about economy, and through these different kinds of exercises, you will come to certain kinds of research questions about the, the site that you're studying. And then you will spend the rest of the semester trying to develop methods to answer these questions that you have developed. So as you can understand from what I'm saying, these are not preset questions. These are questions that you will develop. These are questions that will interest you, and you want to spend time trying to apply different kinds of methods to study. Okay, so for example, last year we had a couple of groups who were trying to study, let's say, what are the different kinds of tactics that street vendors deploy to study, to sell their wares in Sadashiv Nagar versus Malleshwaram. Sadashiv Nagar being a certain kind of higher income neighborhood within Bangalore, where street vending is not commonly observed, and Malleshwaram is like an older neighborhood in Bangalore where there are very established markets, informal markets, where street vending is seen very commonly. And when the students went to the site, they realized, when the fellows went to the site, they realized that both of them the street vendors in both these sites deploy very different kinds of tactics to sell their wares, to stay put, to not be, evicted from the site. And they wanted to study what these tactics are. But this question was developed by them by spending certain amount of time in the field, talking to the street vendors, and drawing, collecting data about it. And these were the questions that they came up with, and then developed methods to answer them. This is the place where you will be able to apply different kinds of learnings that you have from different skill labs within the UFP Fellows program. So you will use, let's say, video techniques from the media lab. You will find out, qualitative and quantitative methods of data collection and analysis from different kinds of labs, and you will apply them over here. And eventually the final product is usually a certain kind of you'll present what you have learned from this entire process to a group, and there's a lot of feedback that you'll get from different faculty members within the UFP Fellows program for the same. For those of you who are architects and are kind of familiar with the studio-based learning approach, I want to tell you that there's a little bit of difference between the architecture studio and the practica. Within the architecture studio, what happens is that there is a certain kind of product that you have to produce. There's a lot of emphasis on sort of producing, let's say, a building and justifying why that building is perfect for that kind of place that you have studied on site. Here, the emphasis is not on producing a product. Here, the emphasis is on trying to answer the research question that you have gone ahead and developed. And the way in which you answer the research question will bring together the different kinds of theories and the skills and the methods that you learn in different other classes within the UFP Fellows program. I'm going to stop it at that and then come back to answering questions that you have. Over to you, Aditi.
Hi everyone. Thank you for that, Namrata. So good evening, everyone. I am, like Tanvi said, I'm Aditi Suri. I'm faculty at IHS. I teach otherwise on digital platforms and urban employment. But today I'm speaking to you in my capacity as anchoring a part of the Urban Fellows program that's called Projects, right? And I'm actually just going to share my screen and take you through a couple of slides so you understand where we're going with this. So Projects is a component of the Urban Fellows program that you enter towards the end of your learning journey, right? So the Urban Fellows program is a 9-month program, with 7 months are taught on our campus in Bangalore. And you end up doing projects within the last 3 months of the fellowship. And what the projects does is it gives you an opportunity to work with some of our researchers and practitioners on live IHS projects, right? So as a fellow, the projects gives you an entry into understanding how people at IHS work, how we do our practice projects, how we do our research projects, how we build out certain kinds of educational projects, products for the market. And this gives you a sense of being able to understand the different kinds of professional capacities and skills it takes to have a career in the urban, right? As any learner who's entering the Urban Fellowship Program is always going to spend many months in the building trying to figure out how they can make their own place in the job market or in the world after doing the fellowship. And the projects give you a really nice place to be able to see how to do that. Right, so you get a chance to work across different kinds of research streams, different kinds of real life challenges that are set to us as researchers or set to us as people who are practitioners within IHS. And this gives you a certain professional understanding of the ways in which funding works in the urban sector, or the ways in which you work for specific kinds of clients when they want you to create certain kinds of product. It also allows you to look at what the life of a researcher within the urban realm means, right? So the project's component of the fellowship is set up to really give you the tools and equipment you need to understand what you're going to be doing after the fellowship. So many fellows choose to do different things with this time period in the program. Some people use it as an experimental time where they do work with people they think they would never get to work with otherwise. So lots of engineers maybe work on campaigns. People who come from law maybe do deep academic research, which is something they wouldn't do otherwise. Other kinds of fellows use the projects as an opportunity to hone in on exactly what they want to do in the job market, right? And so this component is really a time for you to explore what your professional self is going to be after the fellowship. And this does a couple of things, right? Where while Namrata was describing what the Practica does, the Practica gives you, as she said, a space to understand the theoretical conversations and discussions happening in class and the skills that you're learning through different labs. And projects works at the end of the fellowship where you choose elective courses. So this entire second half of the fellowship is meant for you to develop your own interests and be able to understand where you want to take yourself. And so there are 4 different kinds of projects that fellows get to explore when they do this part of the fellowship. There are research-focused projects, there are practice-focused projects, there are some that look at the communication of research and practice outputs for the larger public. And there are ones that really make you hone in on certain kinds of methods or skills, and those tend to be anchored by what we in IHS call the labs, right? We have many labs that teach skills in the program. And there will be a webinar on that for you to get more details about that. But, so fellows get to choose whether they want to create research outputs, whether they want to work with research faculty on conducting primary research. They get an insight in this kind of a project into what the life of a researcher looks like. What kinds of ways do we operationalize concepts and methods when we set out to do primary research? In the practice projects, IHS does a lot of client-facing projects, and a lot of those projects come with very clear timelines and deliverables, and it gives you a sense of understanding who those clients can be, and what kind of limitations or pressure do those kind of practice projects create. So the fellowship, so this part of the fellowship gives you a sense also into what the professional, what kind of a professional capacity you can build in yourself if you want to do certain kinds of work in the urban after the program, right? And then there are communications and skill-based projects. And a lot of these details I'm sharing with you on the slides are also available on the website. But our graduating batch of Urban Fellows actually presented their project presentations just on Thursday and Friday of last week. So I wanted to share with you some examples of what those are, so you get a sense of how wide the diversity of projects are at IHS, and that you can choose from. So we had one fellow who worked on looking at what it means to build um, it was an architectural kind of a project which looked at how to create well-being using temperature and sustainable architecture and methods, right? So she did a lot of surveys on how different kinds of people in our offices and in our buildings provided felt about comfortable temperatures and the way they wanted their workspaces to look like, and then did a kind of sustainability analysis to see how one could actually work towards building something like that. We had Mumal, who was otherwise an artist, who was working with the Domestic Workers Union to understand how to capture their narratives and their voices through art. And she got the opportunity to work with this Domestic Workers Union, who had asked many of their members to look at how they felt during the COVID-19 lockdown and what kind of memories they wanted to capture of their own working lives as domestic workers during this very tumultuous period of the lockdown. So you can already see a wide variety of different kinds of projects at play. And I'll just give you two more examples and then pause. We had a planner, for example, working on a planning campaign called Maybe Delhi to create certain kinds of data sets and knowledge products to help the campaign in its efforts to to have more of a role in the planning process in New Delhi, right? And for the architects and planners on this webinar, you'll understand what that means, but I can give you some more explanations for other people in the Q&A session. We also had two fellows who did a methods-based project, and they used large-scale data sets to carry out certain kinds of statistical analysis, and then carried out field visits and used qualitative methods to hone in on the methodological skills. And they did this around mapping economic clusters in Bangalore. So these were some examples. And I will leave you with these examples and come back to talking about some of these details or questions in the question and answer session, right? So maybe Tanvi, we can take some of these questions now.
Yeah, there is one question. Aditi, maybe you can take it. It says, how would a week in the life of a UFP fellow look like? Since you've been around for a few years, so maybe you would be the best person to answer this.
Yeah, that's a really great question. The week looks quite packed for many fellows, but the week is, the life in the fellowship is a very diverse thing. So in the first half of the fellowship, you expect to be learning a set of concepts that will become common to everyone in the fellowship. All kinds of learners that will come from different disciplines will be asked to learn of 6 to 8 concepts that all of us use when talking about something called the urban or talking about city development or urbanization in its different forms. So in the first half, you do a lot of theory classes and concept classes, and these are anchored by the practica. So your day looks like going into theory classes in the first half, practica and skill labs in the second half. So you're always, there's always a complementarity between concept and skill and concept and field. And that's something that we replicate even in the second term of the fellowship, which gives you more of a chance to take certain subjects of your interest. So there are many electives on offer. There are many diverse faculty at IHS that offer different kinds of electives. So in the second half, you go through many of those classes, as well as skills, learning skills that you want to learn. And project. So your week is always split across these 6 elements.
Namrata, there's a question for you. Will everyone be required to present papers as part of practica, or will we have a choice between that and a dissertation or a thesis?
I think the person has said project, not practica later, but I will explain for the practica as well.
Okay.
The output for the practica is usually not a paper. It can be a presentation, it can be a video. People have done, have even put up plays in the past. People have sort of made drawings and maps. There are many, many different ways in which people produce outputs for the practica, and there is no necessity to produce a paper. As long as you can present it and explain why you're using the medium in which you are producing your outputs, that's fine enough.
Aditi, do you want to take the same questions for the project?
Yeah. What ends up happening in terms of outputs is that because each project looks very different, your output would be focused on the requirements of the project, right? So it may not be a paper that you produce, you may produce a set of maps, you may produce a set of data charts, you might produce, like I just showed you those examples, an artistic installation. During the fellowship, we really encourage learners to find the right means of representing the knowledge that they want to share. So an academic paper might be an output, but it is not limited to that at all.
There's a question which is saying, can I get involved in both research and practica based units of UFP if I get selected?
Yeah, I'm a little unsure what you mean by that. You will have to do both, actually. You will do the theory and you will do the practica. They are not choice based. The course involves doing both. You will attend theory classes and then take up skill labs. You might have choices in what kinds of skill labs you want eventually later in the next part, in the elective term especially. Yeah, practica is an integral part of what everybody who comes to the UFP program does. So yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that, in each term, whether you're doing the practica or projects, there's always a complementarity between things you learn in class and field-based or practical explorations of those. So you will, by definition, be doing both, just to reiterate what Namrata said.
There was another question which I think Namrata you answered, but I think if you can read that out loud, it will be great. The question on, I've done a master's in development. How is that different how is the practica different from fieldwork?
So, actually, there are a lot of disciplines where studio-based learning is pursued. So, architecture, development, these are the places where students are taken regularly to sites, and, field-based studios are a part of the curriculum. What I wanted to say is that the ways in which the practica differs from that is, first of all, that it is interdisciplinary. And by that, I mean that you do not pursue certain, set methods. When you go to the field, you will use whatever methods are required to answer the questions that you ask. And second is that you will spend a lot of time developing research questions. The questions will not be given to you as a part of the project. They will not be sort of provided to you by the faculty. These are research questions that you develop. And I cannot emphasize enough how the right kind of question to ask, how important it is to ask the right kind of question of the field, right? Like, so for example, I come from housing studies. And in my field, for the longest time, people considered the crisis of housing to be the slum. And the way in which they ask this question is, what is the solution to the slum? It took a long time and a lot of researchers to realize that the slum is not a problem which is getting solved. The slum remains a part of the cities, and maybe probably they are looking at this question wrong. Maybe the slum is not a problem, it is some sort of a solution. And the way in which the question was then framed was that, what is the slum a solution to? You see, these are two very different ways of asking question of the same site. What is the solution to the slum, and what is the slum a solution to? And the ways in which you kind of come up with, the ways in which you address the housing situation in both of these questions is very, very different. In one, in the past, we have seen there has been, slum eviction, or slums are taken off. and evicted and sent to to the outskirts of the city. And then the other one, the solution is rehabilitation. And it all depends upon the ways in which you frame the question. And that is what the Practica emphasizes. What is the right kind of question to ask? And this question should come from the field. This is not something that is given to you in different kinds of texts or different like these are questions you ask from the field. So that is one different thing. And the third thing is I wanted to, which I've not written actually over here, is that this is not a solution based. Like you will not find solutions to the problems. You will find different kinds of practices that address these scenarios or these questions. So for example, the first thing you'll say, what is the question? What is the method that I want to deploy to, find the answers to this? And the third thing is that now, you know, if you had to sort of work with this research question, what are the different ways in which you can approach it through practice, right? Like, so an architect will address the same question in a particular way, a theater person addresses the same problem in a different way, and those are encouraged in the Practica as well, right? There is no one answer to the questions that you ask, there are, or ways of intervening to the questions that you ask. So yeah, so like I was saying earlier, like an architect is forced to design a building on site. The architect doesn't have the option of saying, "Yahan pe kuch mat karo." But in the Practica, you can say, "Yahan pe kuch mat karo." Like, yahan pe, you can do different kinds of things. Anyway, yeah, I hope that answers the question. If you have any other questions, you can ask.
So the next question is, there are certain skills listed on the website under skill labs. Are those for the 2021 cohort, or will that be same for the upcoming cohort as well? Anybody wants to take that?
That's most of the time the skill there are basic skill labs that everyone in the fellowship has to take. Those get offered every year, and then there are certain advanced skill labs that certain faculty will offer, depending on the availability or the need from the class. So mostly the list you're seeing online will be the list that gets replicated in the next year.
I just wanted to add that we have a specific webinar on skill labs, which is coming up next Tuesday at 5 p.m. So to know more about the skill labs, please join that webinar. We don't have any open questions for now. Aditi, Namita, do you want to add anything while we wait for more questions?
I think just to kind of build on what Namrata was saying about Practica, I think what's really interesting about Practica and projects as two components of the fellowship is it puts a lot of things that you learn in class at play, right? And so often, you'll read this word on our website a lot called interdisciplinarity. It's something we emphasize a lot. You'll hear all faculty talking about it. But it becomes really interesting to watch it and to feel it and experience it as a learner. So, just to emphasize that again, that often what it means to work in the urban is to be able to understand different kinds of practitioners around you, right? How do you speak to a civil engineer if you're working in a municipality and come with a specific kind of background in politics, for example? Or how do you, as a researcher or as a consultant to a particular government who comes from a management background, how do you understand what a sanitation system looks like, or how women are particularly embroiled in certain kinds of sanitation, or people of lower castes, right? So these kind of mixes really get cleared out and experienced in both of these components of the fellowship.
There's a question. As a practicing journalist, how do I reflect in my application how Practica will benefit me in my practice?
Interesting question. I feel like as a practicing journalist, I don't know what is the nature of your practice, but journalists usually are sort of well versed with the idea of something being field based, right? You're used to sort of going on field, talking to people, and writing from the field, and reporting from the field. but a lot of those questions are sort of like reporting immediate questions, right? They're like it's about how do you explain, like um, if I had to paraphrase from like the Post, like they say that it's the first draft of history, like in the sense like you're reporting from field, you're saying this is what is happening right now, these are the different perspectives on site, and it ends over there. But all of this reporting is actually the way in which you report comes from certain kinds of unconscious ways in which you think about the site, right? And unconscious, subconscious ways in which you think about site, or from the ways in which you have been trained to think about these things. I feel the UFP program in general allows you to sort of bring that subconscious into the conscious. Like, you know, it makes you more aware of the ways in which you're thinking about site. It exposes you to different kinds of theories that are happening, and the practica then becomes the place where you watch yourself do it. And this is a very important thing for like any kind of urban practice, you know, like to be conscious of what your biases are, where are those biases coming from, how do you deploy them on field, like, you know, what are the different kinds of questions you can go pursuing, are these questions like immediately answerable questions, or are these like deeper long term engagement questions? And I feel like as a journalist, this is the most important part of your work in some ways, right? Like to be able to ask questions which are not immediate, not obviously answered, but require you to sort of like pull together different kinds of methods of answering them, and I feel that the practical will definitely benefit you from that perspective.
Yeah, we don't have any open questions for now, at least.
Um, a lot of like there's a lot of relationship between the practica and the projects, you know, like people uh, deploy certain kinds of methods within the practica, which is like, you know, group work. And then like I've heard a lot of them say that they learned what they had done right or wrong in the practica, and then when they did their projects they were very very conscious of the ways in which they were doing it, you know. And I guess that also speaks to that the same question that the journalist asked, you know, like in the sense that you become very aware of the ways in which you begin to practice once you go through this through the commons term, where you go through theory lectures and then kind of find footing within the practica to see how you apply them, or work with those theories. Yeah.
There's a question on projects, Aditi. It says, I've been through the current projects of Urban Fellows that they're doing. I observed that the water component is missing. Or are there any projects going on with water problems? Just wanted to know.
Thanks for that question, Abhijit. This year we didn't have any projects particularly on water that fellows took. Often we have, you know, over 50, 60 projects, and fellows get to decide what they want to work on. But there are projects at IHS that do focus on that. So there's no reason to believe that in the next year there wouldn't be. Part of projects also allows you as a fellow to propose an independent project. Say, for example, Abhijit, if you were in the program and you really wanted to work on water and you had a good hunch and a good idea and you were able to put in the work to create a proposal to do a particular kind of research project or practice project, you would be available to do that, and it would be supported within the fellowship. So there's always an extensive list, but there's always space for individual exploration as well. I'll just maybe add to what kind of Namita was saying earlier. I think the really nice part about the Urban Fellows program, and I think we all as faculty reflect on this coming from a lot of other kinds of educational setups, is that the fellowship introduces you to a set of ideas and ways of looking at the world, and then it finds ways to build your confidence in using those. Right? And a lot of that comes from practica and projects components. And having just watched our fellows leave the campus just last week, you can see just how important it is for them to find the space and time to work with faculty and to work with IHS practitioners to build confidence in taking difficult decisions about how to look at a field in particular ways, or how whether a particular method works or doesn't work, and how to make these abstract ideas about the cities around us, to make them really grounded in something truthful. So it's one way to think about your particular topic or issue getting covered in the practical projects, but there's a lot of ways in which we help build your confidence and build your different and you build your soft skills and capacities around these new kinds of things you're learning.
Aditi, there's a question which is, are there ongoing action research projects in the urban sustainability space at IHS? In what capacity can fellows engage themselves in such projects?
Yeah, Rashika, thank you for that question. On urban sustainability, we have a number of different kinds of work happening at IHS. So I'll just give you an example of what happened this year. So every year to year, these projects look different depending on the kind of work that's taking place in the building within IHS. So this year we had fellows who were working to look at whether particular kinds of thermal cooling systems work for different kinds of architectural practices. That's an example I just showed you in one of the slides. We had fellows who were working with our digital blended learning team to create courses, online courses on how to understand sustainability. We had fellows who were looking at a particular it was an engineering project, so me as a sociologist cannot explain it properly, but we had engineers who were looking at different kinds of electrical planning within buildings and how that contributes to general architectural versions of sustainability. But across IHS, there are always many projects on climate change, on certain forms of peri-urban agriculture and how they intersect with different kinds of social groups. So we expect that projects around this will also come in the future. So those are just some examples to help show you what we do.
Yeah, we don't have any questions so far. Folks, if you have anything else related to the UFP, you can drop me a question on that as well. Namrata, do you want to talk a little bit about the Practica presentations this year, or the kind of things that the fellows put together this year as part of Practica?
Like I was saying, so this year our Practica actually, so this year's Practica was based in Sadashiv Nagar. Sadashiv Nagar is the area actually around IIHS, and it is a high-income neighborhood. It has a lot of sort of influential people who, actors and politicians who live in this area. And the fellows were asked to study Sadashiv Nagar and the adjoining areas of Malleshwaram and Vailikaval, and develop questions around that. It was an interesting experience because usually most people are sort of like, used to the ideas of studying areas where access is easily available, and like studying neighborhoods which are higher income did not give them access to people and that easily. So that was an interesting part of the entire Practica process, where they had to go through certain kinds of neighborhood groups to work, snowball their way into finding more and more interviews and finding out more about the neighborhood. The different kinds of themes that people approached were a couple of students were interested in studying the rental practices of landlords post COVID. They wanted to find out how how have the landlords actually coped with people leaving the city, and find out more about their rental practices and their ways in which they sort of cope with the sudden lack of income uh, um, in both Sadashiv Nagar and the lower income neighborhoods around it in Vyalikaval. There were students who wanted to study the morphology. So like, how is the morphology of Malleshwaram different from that of Sadashiv Nagar? And where does this morphology actually, what are the roots of this morphology? Like, why does a grid have the size that it does in Malleshwaram, the road grids? And why does Sadashiv Nagar's road grids look the way they do? What have been the reasons why these have changed? So yeah, I mean, these were the kind of questions that people looked at ecology, like the questions of like the trees that are lining the avenues of Bangalore. Like, what is the history of these trees? How are they maintained? Who takes care of them? There are different kinds of aspects, different kinds of themes that people looked at, and yeah, it was an interesting studio, especially given that this was a COVID year. This was a difficult studio to pull off, but hopefully things will be much easier in the next upcoming studios. A couple of
Thanks,
questions.
Namrata. Yeah, there's a question. Hi, I missed the previous webinars. I'm an aspiring urban fellow, so I want to know if catching up on the remaining webinars will suffice with learning about the program. I can answer that. Yes, definitely. We've actually not finished the webinar series. We have a couple of more lined up. Specifically, this one and the next two will be focusing on the curriculum. Then we have one with the students where they'll talk about their experiences, and a final one which is an open session, and you can ask anything about the UFP. If you want to see some of the earlier webinars that we've finished, please go to our website, and you should find them there under the webinars tab. If you also want to listen to some of our fellows and listen to their testimonials, they're also up on the IHS YouTube channel and on the website. So yeah. There's a question, may I know the timeline of Practica projects? Will it happen in tandem with common module, or will one follow the other?
The
Go on, Namrata. No, go ahead.
The Practica runs through the entire Commons module, and the projects follow later.
Elective term.
Yeah, in the elective.
So you have 2 terms that are part of the main fellowship, the on-campus fellowship. Start the term with Commons and Practica, and you end the fellowship with projects and electives before moving into the internships.
Says, thank you. It's good to hear that the webinars I missed are on the website. Yes, they're available on the website. Any more questions? We still have about 10 minutes. If there are no questions, we can close in a few minutes, but we can just wait around also. Question, may I know the kind of electives that will be open to the upcoming cohort?
Maybe I can describe some of those. I would advise you to look at the UFP website to get a whole list of the electives. There are a lot on offer, very interesting and diverse subjects. There are some that get offered every year and some that are offered by guest faculty. But for example, you have the opportunity to go in depth into any of the things that you learn in the Commons. So there will be electives around the economy, for example. I'll give you some examples of what happened this year. So there were electives on urban and regional economic development. There was an elective on urban labor markets and digital platforms. There was an elective on the informal economy and how that relates to city economies. There were several on sustainability. There was some on infrastructure, particularly around climate change, around disasters, risk and risk management. So the full list is on the website, but yeah, these are just some examples to get you started.
Yeah, the webinar on Thursday is on Commons and electives, so please join that to know more about it. Any more questions? Can you give us suggestions to get selected for the UFP, as there will be more applications?
suggestions we can give you, but I think what we really look for in the admissions process is what your interest is in cities and in the urban. I think if you come with that from any background, any discipline, and any education qualifications, if you really have an interest, you have a particular set of things you want to explore and do in the world to do with cities, that's what becomes the most important thing to actually to look at in and as you write your application. So I don't think there's any formula. I don't think we as faculty have figured out any formula for that, but this becomes very important. Yeah.
It's also kind of honest, right? Like your honest interest.
Yeah, I think that's really important too.
It's easier to crack it when it's your honest interest and doesn't have to depend on other people's.
Yeah. Just to kind of, as we read the next question, just to say that we do have an interdisciplinary class, so we do take on different people from different disciplines. So that is something to keep in mind.
There's a question. I can't find the previous webinars. Could you tell us which section it is at? You will find a webinar tab at the top of the website, right corner. Just click on it. It will lead you to the webinars page, and the previous webinars will be uploaded there.
I will just put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks. Any more questions? Aditi, Namita, closing comments?
And on time.
Yeah, send your application in on time and apply, and we promise you it's going to be a great time learning. You'll enjoy yourselves learning through the different kinds of modes that we offer. That's all.
I think there are no more questions, so we can close. Thank you, Aditi and Namrata, and thank you. We have a question that has come in. I don't have a background in urban planning or geography.
Neither do I, Amrita. And that's what we encourage people from different disciplines and backgrounds to come into the fellowship, so that all of our skills as different kinds of practitioners become understandable to each other and become useful in our practice. So that's not a bad thing, Amrita.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. As long as you have an interest in the urban, so that is what is important.
Okay, so no more questions. Thank you, everybody, and thank you all for those who tuned in. Our next webinar is on Commons and Electives on Thursday, 5 p.m. and our faculty, Sudeshna Mitra, will be hosting it. So hope to see you there, and please send in your applications by 11th April and well before time, because usually we get in a lot of applications towards the end and there are tech glitches. So to avoid that, it would be best if you just send it way ahead of time. So thank you, everybody. Good evening.